All that other stuff's gone. So if I want to create a character that's about 20 centimeters in height, and this is not going to be the character itself, this is going to be a reference plane. I want my reference plane to be substantially bigger. This isn't the character, it's the reference plane. So how big do I want this to be? What is my reference image is the real question. Because if I can line up the proportions of the plane with the artwork that I'm going to put on, then there won't be any skewing or stretching. Everything will be a one-to-one. So I've built another one. Done. Back to, we got our size. And now what we're looking at is a layout that we can use, combination things. We can use this to show the proportions and to keep our scaling to what we design here in our 3D modeling tool. We can also use this, as we see, to UV map to show what pixels are going to have what colors on them, using this as a starting point. Simple black and white art. I added some yellow commentary, not to make it harder, but just so that people can get a hang for the fact what these are. If you can always edit this and delete the yellow if you don't like it. It's been saved where you can get to it. Oh, before I leave here, we need to know what the size is. So I'm going to click on File and Properties. We see it is 512 by 512. Remember that number, 512 by 512. So now we're done in here, and we go back into 3ds Max. So our reference plane, we're going to make 512 by 512. You might be thinking, but SpongeBob's only going to be 20 centimeters high. We want our art to line up very nicely, so we're just going to go 512 by 512. Since we've already created this object, if we go to the Modify panel, we can do things like change the name of it to Reference Image. And we can change it so that the size of it is 512 by 512. Remember, in these number boxes, if you right-click, you can reset it to 0. If you type in an actual number, hit Enter, it will take that. Your units might be set to centimeters, meters, or something else that's scene-specific, so pay attention to that. Just to review again on the width. If I right-click accurately in here, first I'll click, and then I'll right-click. What? Right-click on the arrows, not the box, and then I can get in here and type in 512. Yay! Now I've got a plane to project my image, and we're going to do so through use of a material. If I touch M on the keyboard, it's going to bring up the material browser. 3ds Max Material Editor, which can also be accessed by clicking on the button right above my head here, can be accessed by using M on the keyboard. Remember, we reset our scene, so none of the old stuff I've got is here. And we're going to start out with a standard material type. So if I click in the search box and I look for standard, I can grab a standard surface. And by clicking and holding, I can drag it out into the slate and then work on it. As soon as you create something, if you know what it's going to be used for, give it a name. It helps a lot when you get more complex scenes. So this is going to be our reference doodle image. Now the base color is set to white. Pointing that out right here. See, the base color is white. That corresponds with a pin right over here called base color. Now there's a couple ways to do this. I could click on the little box next to it here. I could click on or drop a map right here. But the way that I think is more intuitive is actually use the node wiring here, drag off, clicking and holding, drag off, and then you can actually connect it to a bitmap. Now we call them bitmaps, but remember we did a PNG. Go under General, select bitmap, and it's going to say, where is this bitmap which you speak of? And now I can see all of the image files in the folder I'm looking at. There's the one called Texture Trial. Yours will be on your H drive, but just for simplicity, I've got it assigned here. And now that I've got a material, I can double check right above my head here, make sure that I've got Show Shaded Viewport in the material viewport as well as there. If you want to assign it, since our geometry, we can see our geometry is selected. If we click on the base here, all we have to do is touch the letter A and it will assign it. There we go. It's assigned to it. Or I could try to click with my mouse on this little thing and drag it over to here. Or I could click on the button up here, which is this. Now, those of you on Chromebooks are going to really start to value all I have to do is touch a key on the keyboard. It's much easier than trying to control that remote mouse. So that's why I hyper emphasize using the keys. It's just much easier when you're connected remote. Great, now we've got it here, but if we were to model it, SpongeBob would be below us, so to speak, in the camera view. So how do we rotate our reference plane? Again, there's always more than one way to do it. I'm going to close down the material editor for the time being and just point out to you that if you're a mouse person, you can click on the rotate, or you could touch the R key. Right, either one's going to get you into the rotate mode. And since I'm in the rotate mode, it is a mouse operation, and I'm going to pick on this red line here. And if I click and drag on it, you'll start to see in all the viewports it's reflecting that I'm rotating my image. My goal is to get to 90. Now, it might be difficult to get to 90 as you're rotating it, especially remotely. So as a reminder, directly below where I've got my myself as a cursor here, there's the number that reflects not the location in this instance, but the rotation. I could rotate, right click on the arrows here and set it back to 0. I could come in here and just type in the number 90 and press enter. To me, that's more direct. Just type in 90 and hit enter, and it's rotated to the right spot. I can line this up with the grid. All I really need to model is the front. The rest is going to be for the UV mapping part. So there's a reference plane with an image set up for use, in this instance for the Doodlebob project.